Hi, this is Mrs. Nagayama, and this recording is to help you with the Unit 4 test. Please review quizzes 4.03 and 4.08 before taking this test. So here are some of the topics we'll be talking about: alleles, heterozygous versus homozygous, dominant versus recessive, codominance, and incomplete dominance. So let's get started with this first question. This is a review question. Which of the following best describes the relationship between a gene and an allele? Is it A, a gene is a variant of an allele, B, an allele is a variant of a gene, C, a gene is always dominant to an allele, or D, a gene is always recessive to an allele? Remember, an allele is a type or form of a gene. An allele is a version of a gene. So for example, if we had the hair color gene, some alleles would be blonde or brown or red, etc. So the best answer for this one would be B. An allele is a variant or form or version of a gene. So now let's go over homozygous versus heterozygous. So some possible genotypes that someone can have would be big B, big B, big B, little b, or little b. So we categorize our genotypes in two categories, either homozygous or heterozygous. If you have a homozygous genotype, then that means that both your alleles are the same. So some examples would be big B, or little b. They have alleles that are exactly the same. If you have two alleles that are different, we categorize it into the heterozygous category, where you have big B, little b. You have two alleles that are different. When we talk about true breeding, so a lot of people kind of know what purebred animals are like. So if you think of dogs, if you buy purebred dogs, that means that they are pure. They have only one type of a certain trait. So what are the possible genotypes for a dog with brown hair? So if we have brown hair, that means it must have a big B. So the two possible genotypes would be big B, and big B, little b. But what would the genotype be of a true bred or a purebred dog with brown hair? Would it be big B, or big B, little b? Remember, if we want it to be purebred, that means it has to only have one type of allele. So the answer for that one would be big B. That would be the homozygous true bred dog. Okay, now we're going to go into different types of inheritance. Sometimes here are some of the exceptions. One is codominance. Codominance occurs when both alleles are dominant. So you might have brown hair and white hair genes. However, one is not weaker than the other. They are both dominant, so they actually appear equally. So we have a big B and a big B, which we would have a brown dog. But if we have a big B and a little b, we'll have a brown and white dog. One is not dominant over the other. They both appear on the dog. And the last one would be little b, since it only has white hair gene, would be a white dog. Another example of an exception would be incomplete inheritance. So this is different than codominance. Incomplete inheritance is when the dominant allele is only partially dominant. So what happens is the heterozygous, or the big B, little b dog, appears to have a mixture of the dominant and recessive alleles. So big B would be a brown dog, little b would be a white dog. But if a dog had a big B, little b, and it was incompletely inherited, then we would have a light brown dog. So the brown and the white would then mix together. Okay, so a certain species of grasshopper can have red stripes, yellow stripes, or red and yellow stripes. So an RR grasshopper has red stripes, a YY has yellow stripes, and an RY grasshopper has red and yellow stripes. What type of inheritance would this be? Would it be codominance, where both yellow and red appear equally? Would it be sex-linked, meaning it's linked to gender? Would it be recessive, meaning that the recessive is the one that shows up? Or would it be incomplete dominance, which means that the red and the yellow would mix together? What type of inheritance is the grasshopper species an example of? So remember that codominance is when both appear equally, when we have both brown and white in this dog, or in the example the grasshopper, both red and yellow stripes. So the best answer for this one would be A, codominance, where they both appear equally. Right, here's the last question for the Unit 4 test sample questions. Suppose you cross a true breeding blue flower, which means it only has blue genes, with a true breeding yellow flower, which means it only has the yellow genes. In the next generation, all of the flowers are blue. What does the outcome tell you about the allele for blue flowers? The blue allele is recessive to the yellow allele, or is the blue allele dominant to the yellow allele, or does the blue allele show incomplete dominance, or is it sex-linked? The answer to this one would be B. The blue allele is dominant because we're breeding a blue flower with a yellow flower, and if all of them are blue, that means that the blue must dominate over the yellow. So if you have any other questions about Unit 4, please make sure that you email me. Make sure you're taking the tests and the quizzes over and over again until you reach a 60% or better, because that's a passing grade in the class.